Pretty good daily pea harvest here. These peas are called Mr. Big. They are very long peas, very productive. The plant itself doesn't grow very tall compared to the sugar snap peas, which I have right over my shoulder here, which are reaching 6 feet tall. The peas of this variety here, they're about 1 to 2 feet off the ground, but very productive, and they produce pretty good sized pea pods. So next up on the garden tour is my Fava Bean patch. I planted 3 large 30-foot long rows this year of plants at different stages in time, and my first row that I planted has been producing really well this year. It's at the tail end of its production. The second row I've got over there is still producing strongly. And lastly, the third row there, that was in the flowering stage a couple weeks ago, they're starting to sprout bean pods. So it's been a pretty remarkable harvest this year for fava beans. I chose to plant a lot of fava beans this year because they're the type of bean that freezes really well, and my family enjoys them, and they're extremely healthy. And yeah, traditionally, I grew up with my grandparents planting a heck of a lot of them, so it's a very good crop to plant, and we're gonna go do some harvesting now. So come take a closer look. How I like to harvest these is rather than yank at the bean pod, pulling it off the plant stem, I like to twist it and rotate it around a bit. Then it easily comes off. This is a smaller one. Probably only actually have 1 bean in it, but I'm going to harvest them anyways, otherwise they'll go to waste. Now, you don't typically want to harvest these until they're at this stage, where the bean is actually pushing up against the bean pod, and you've got this type of appearance. So this one's definitely ready, and yeah, these will be nice fat beans. This is a good one to harvest. This is a massive one. I think eventually I'm going to get stung by a wasp. They keep flying around my head, and I don't think they're very happy I'm here, but I find with wasps, the more you ignore them, the more they leave you alone. They're almost like dogs. They could sense fear, so I just ignore them and don't give them the time of day, and for the most part I don't get bitten. When I do get bitten, it's usually when I don't see the wasp in the first place. Check out this one. Nice and fat. So here is the third row I was telling you about. As you can see, many of these plants are still in the flower stage. Then once the flower gets pollinated, they die off, and this right here is the start of the Fava pod. And then from there, as you can see, they start to grow. Alright, so I'm done today's harvest. Picked pretty much all the ripe ones, and ended up with 3/4 of this bucket full. So my job isn't done quite yet. I'm going to be spending the evening shelling these, and also what I'll be doing is boiling these for about a minute or two. I think most people refer to that as blanching, and then after that I'll be freezing them and stockpiling some in the freezer. So I'm in my potato patch, which is covered entirely in weeds. The plants have all died back, which is a sign that the potatoes are ready to be harvested. And I've dug up actually quite a few already, and they're really good size. The potato crop did really well this year. Over here in this potato patch, I planted 8 rows, each approximately 30 feet long. So there's going to be quite a few potatoes to harvest this year. I'm going to finish off the day by maybe harvesting 1 complete row. I've already dug up about 5 plants out of that row thus far. The varieties of potatoes I planted this year were Yukon Gold, Russet, and Norland. So there's quite a few to choose from. I think I'm missing 1 or 2 varieties, but whatever the case may be, every potato that I plant gets eaten. I've already started digging up a few potatoes today, and the size of them is remarkable. This one in particular was sticking out of the ground, and they're definitely ready to be harvested. So that's what I'm that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to dig up as many as I can and put them in my cold room for winter storage. You really want to avoid using pitchforks, because I find on every plant there's at least one potato that you end up piercing, and that's not great to pierce a potato if you're storing them long term. If you're eating them right away, it doesn't really matter, but last year a lot got pierced, and the year before a lot got pierced. So just going to use the pitchfork to loosen up the soil, and from there on in I'm just going to try removing the soil with my hand. A lot of people suggest planting potatoes in the spring directly in straw or mulch, and that way you don't really require the use of a pitchfork because the ground is so loose. You basically just move all the material away from with your hand, and I might try that method next year. So on average I'm getting about 4 big potatoes per plant thus far in this row. Just want to make sure I'm not leaving any behind, so I'm giving this a bit of a till against my better judgment. So weird looking one, looks like a snowman. Yeah, this is a pretty good plant. This one, it's producing some smaller potatoes, but those are fine as well. I think I've got 6 from this one already. See another one over here. Yes. Decent sized one. These are all weeds growing on top of the mound. Not particularly aesthetically pleasing, but didn't have the time or the motivation to weed the potato patch closer to the end of the potatoes' lifespan. but it is what it is. Gotta do what you can when it comes to gardening. Nothing ever works out entirely as you planned it. You never quite have as much time as you thought you'd have to devote to your crop, but hasn't really affected my potatoes at all. Still digging up quite a few. I'm gonna be digging up some potatoes today. Some pretty decent sized ones. As much as possible, I'm trying to move the dirt with my hands because whether you use a spade shovel or a pitchfork, you always seem to slice into a few, and that's not ideal if you want to preserve these potatoes and have them last throughout the year. You don't want any of them to get pierced because they'll start to rot. So here's a decent one. Once you get close to the root ball, then you could start moving the dirt with your hands. But until then, you could kind of try and utilize the fork just to remove a lot of the hard earth. This plant did fairly well. I think I've got 5 or 6 good sized potatoes from this one in particular. This is a pretty good plant. Wow, already I've got 5 near the box and haven't even gotten halfway through the root. This was one heck of a plant. It's 9 potatoes in total. See if there's any more. See another one. Wow, this is humongous. 10 off that one plant. Can there be any more? That was an amazing plant, gotta tell you.